business for 45 years. I worked in some of the biggest companies in advertising. To me, there is only one important thing that has happened in the digital era. If you have a mobile phone and if you've made a call, then I know everything about you. I work with a lot of technology. I can tell you with great conviction that everything that you are doing is available to platforms like Google or Meta or X or anyone. Until and unless you are clear about why you are communicating what you are communicating, your communication will go haywire, number one. Number two is, what is the context of this communication? The context of Peter Elber's communication on the imbroglio that has happened in airline business was extreme consumer pain. I have suffered. If we do not understand who it is meant for and what they are interested in, then the communication goes haywire. Many a times we go wrong either on the timing or on the platform that we are using or on the channel that we use to communicate. Rarely have I seen companies delve into understanding the consumer mind. What does that audience that the company is communicating with really care about? If you don't understand that, then your communication is not going to address their core issues. In today's world, earlier, the consumers had no way of responding to what you communicated. But in today's world, they have many platforms. I mean, if you see the number of memes that have been created on this Indigo issue, it is incredible. If you see the reach of consumer complaint on Indigo, it is way, way, way higher than the reach of Peter Elber's message. And finally, how will you measure the effectiveness? We spend billions of dollars on corporate communication across the world. How effective is it? Ask who you want to build a relationship with. Like Peter Drucker said, the purpose of any business is to create and retain a customer profitably. Second, investors, people who have trusted and believed you and have invested in your company. Media shapes perception. Your employees are your brand ambassadors. Finding great talent is a big, big challenge. The supply is much lower than the demand. And the other is government. Indigo needs to talk to the government. But is it doing a proper communication with the government? I doubt it.
In terms of brand journey of CIL, the latest being we are employer of choice whenever we do recruitment advertisement, and we are large recruiter. Every year we are hiring around 2,000 executives, management trainees of technical and non-technical, and we get large number of application for our vacancies. And then we thought of, let's try very complex organization, and I'll give you the scale, more than 200,000 regular employees, top of that 16,000 executives, officers, and more than 100,000 contract workers. So the ecosystem of more than 350,000 of regular and irregular employees. And then if you take secondary and tertiary, it will run in millions who are dependent on Coal India. And every district, wherever 35, 36 districts, we are operating 8 states, the GDP of that district is dependent on Coal India. So in terms of what we change in our communication, we leverage digital technology to the full. Now, our previous speaker was talking about what is emotional, and we have a lot of emotional, passionate stories of Coal India. I'll give you some statistics, which is of wonderful emotional stories. For our workers, their children, 5 years and 4 years, both girls, and they were workers, mining sardars. They have a very unique disease. And the only solution was to import a medicine from Switzerland, which cost, it was in euros, but in Indian values, 16 crores. And I'm very happy to inform you, in both the cases, Coal India sanctioned 16 crores, which is unheard of any corporation, public, private, that for saving a 3 years daughter of a worker, you are sanctioning 16 crore for importing a medicine. And unfortunately, in one case, we couldn't save the children. In one case, the children is doing fine.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Respected, if you remember, in something called ARPANET got developed in the 1960s, which we can say is the precursor of internet. And the next big development came out in the late 1980s when Tim Berners-Lee came out with the www. And since then, we are all been going after that, and this has been a big game changer. So the first big changer when it came to communication after the print and the TV and the radio was in the late 1980s when the www came up and internet came up. And then subsequent to that, social media came up, and then later on in the late 2015 onwards, artificial intelligence came up, and we had the digital media and the social media revolution. Now, why I'm telling out this story is that if you look at the traditional media, since there are a lot of young corporate communicators here, the basic foundation of communication has still not changed. That is, how you should be a good communicator is what I usually tell you should always have. The first important skill that you all should have is the reading skills. I mean, reading is the basic foundation of communication, because once you start reading well, you get more knowledge about any subject and you will be able to communicate more, and your content preparation also becomes very, very strong. So the basic foundation, because you're all youngsters and there are a lot of, I think this is a very unique audience where we have probably Gen X here, Gen Y here, Gen Z, and probably even Gen Alpha is also here, because I think director said his son is also part of this program. So we have 4 different generations here. Now, why I'm telling out this story is that if you look at the traditional media, since there are a lot of young corporate communicators here, the basic foundation of communication has still not changed. That is, how you should be a good communicator is what I usually tell you should always have. The first important skill that you all should have is the reading skills. I mean, reading is the basic foundation of communication, because once you start reading well, you get more knowledge about any subject and you will be able to communicate more, and your content preparation also becomes very, very strong. So the basic foundation, because you're all youngsters and there are a lot of, I think this is a very unique audience where we have probably Gen X here, Gen Y here, Gen Z, and probably even Gen Alpha is also here, because I think director said his son is also part of this program. So we have 4 different generations here. But even if there is 4 different generations, I think the basic concept, if you want to have a strong corporate communication team, not only a strong corporate communication team, any employee or anybody working in any organization, I think the first basic tool for him so that he can become a good communicator is to have strong reading habits.